Hello and welcome to another episode of Survive the Wild with me, Dan. Today's episode I'm going to be talking about a fruit leather that you can make whilst out actually in the wild. It's pretty simple, only takes like a few hours, and the fruits that we're going to be talking about and looking for are haws. Now, haws come off the hawthorn tree, or it's like a more of a large shrub. Grows all over the UK and other places in Europe, and it's quite easy to identify, particularly this time of year. You have a really bright red berry, and there's on the bushes themselves they are covered in thorns. They're quite prickly, and the leaf shape, it's quite easy to distinguish. It's sort of like got it's similar to an oak leaf in a sense. So you've got you would normally have two lobes to one side, the main lobe at the top, and then two more lobes that come down. I think most people probably know what they look like, but I'll put a picture up just so you can get a better idea of them. But anyway, so I'm going to go out now. I'm just going to pop down the valley, and we're just going to go and pick a few. Might chuck a few little blackberries in there as well, but anyway, yeah, like I say, I'm going to go down there now, pick a few, and then we're going to come back up to this nice little spot here. So it is a nice little spot, although there's a little bit of road traffic down from the valley bottom coming up, but it's not too bad. Anyway, right, I'm going to go off now and do that. Right, okay, so been out and collected about a quarter of a pound ish of berries for today. This will be enough for what I want. Like I say, they're all hawthorns or haws. There drops a couple there. The bright red berries. They're not difficult to miss. The only thing you could maybe possibly get them mixed up with, if you had another tree growing through them, would be rowan berries off the rowan tree. And they're a bit more round, and the rowan tree looks very different to the hawthorn. Anyway, so you'd be able to distinguish them, and you wouldn't particularly have to worry about poisoning either with the rowan berries, because they're edible to a degree where you can eat them. They'd be perfectly safe. You can make a jelly out of them. It goes well with venison, although for me personally I find it a little bit too tart, and that's the key that you'd find. Hawthorn berries, there's a slight tartness to them, but you can tell that it's got the sugars in there, because there's a bit more of a sweetness to it, whereas the rowan berries are very, very bitter. I'm not personally a huge fan of rowan berry jelly, but each to their own. I do like bitter things, but that's not particularly a bitter taste that I do like off them. Anyway, so next step for these now is we're just basically gonna get a stick, and we're gonna chuck these in the billy can, give them a general crush, and then we're gonna mush them up. And yeah, I'm gonna do that now. Okay, so in here I've got my billy can, which we're going to use to crush stuff up with, and this is what we'll squeeze the juice into. So take that out. That's just my little stove. So all we're going to do is get his berries and just try and get them all out somewhere, get hooked up somewhere. There we go. Right. Don't worry about too much about getting all the stalks off, because we're gonna squeeze these through the bag anyway. So to start with, we just need to give them a rough pounding, start breaking them up a bit. So anyway, I'll do this for a bit and then we'll come back to it and show you what it's like. Right. I've ended up swapping to using my hand because it's actually a bit easier. Just squeeze, give them a mush. And we'll probably have to add a bit of water into this mix. They're quite dry, these, despite the rain we've had over the last few days. Yeah, I think we'll add a bit of water. The other thing is, you'll find that your hand will fit, once you've done all this and you've washed them off, even with just water, your hands will be incredibly clean, or they'll feel incredibly clean. I don't think I'll add much, just a drop. Okay, so after a bit you'll end up of squodging them, you'll end up with a like that thick sticky mess, and there'll be some where it looks like you've not squashed them, but I won't worry about that too much. Quite often you'll get some that there isn't really any there's hardly any flesh in them at all, and it's just mainly stone. So all you want to do now is just get, if you've got one of these bags that I use for carrying like a billy can round with and a few other bits, or you can use like a muslin bag, just shove the whole lot in the bottom there, move the billy can out of the way. And the best thing with most of these billy cans is they come with this little frying pan, and you can just you know, gather it all into a ball. What I like to try and do is just get it down like that. And it might be sometimes worth getting your knife and just use the back of your knife to scrape it off. Try and keep one hand reasonably clean. So just you know, depending on how gooey it is, just keep doing that. But you know, one good way is get the bag and start twisting it. Oh. You could just use the back of your finger, and it thickens up really quickly anyway. And this is one of the keys to making it a good sort of like food on the go for making fruit leather. We're not going to get much out of this lot. A lot of the berries are still ripening. Some, there's like a few where some trees have already started, you know, they started ripening a bit early. Wasp It's always a good sign when you're doing something you're not sure of the sugar content is. If you get things like wasps turning up, in fact there's hardly anything here at all. Wasps and ants, so they'll be attracted by the scent of the sweeter scent of the sugar. So that's always a sign of, no good sign that there's sugars in there. Oh, there's hardly any in this at all. I think I get a feeling that the majority of this is these berries are there's stones in them. But what you can do is just transfer the ball back in, and there's still quite a lot there that hasn't actually been that squashed up. I'm just going to chuck some more water in, give it another mix up. Right, let's try that again then. So the bag back the right way around. We've done it the wrong way around. There we go, we're getting a fair bit more this time. Obviously I hadn't squeezed them enough or crushed them enough. Plenty on my hands. That's about it. So I can, oh, look at that, it's already setting. So I'm just going to mix this up a bit more equal, and then try and spread it out a little bit, gather it up, and then basically we'll just leave that to set for a bit. And you know, if you're around camp, you'll have got, you know, you're gonna have other things to do, so you know, you can always just leave this to set. It doesn't take a huge amount of time, about 20 minutes, and you know, you should be able to just peel that off in one sheet. So anyway, we'll come back to that in a bit. Let it set for a bit now. Right, so it's been resting now for a fair bit, and it's what it's doing now is sort of like pushing water out, and but it's probably set enough now to actually, yeah, cut into strips. And what you can do with these strips now is you could, you know, say if you could build like a frame to put over a little smoky fire, and you could lay these strips out. Stuck to the bottom of the billy can. There we go. So you could lay these bits out, and you could just, you know, smoke them, dry them off even further. But yeah, I'm not going to do that today because I haven't got that amount of time. But you know, this, as it is at the moment, you know, it's a little bit wet, but it's very, very humid today. So I mean, this is quite cool. So it's going to be very difficult to actually dry this out today because it's actually, as it's cool, it's the moisture in the air will condense on it. But yeah, if it was a really, nice sunny day, you could dry this out in the sun. It wouldn't be too difficult, and then you could like pack it away, or you could put it, you could put this in a container, and carry it with you on your next bit of journey. I mean, this isn't something that you would, if you were just going to be hanging around for a day, then I wouldn't bother doing this. But if you was out for maybe 3-4 days, and you were moving around, or if you were around for a couple of days, you might be in one spot for a day or two, a day and a half or whatever, and this would be a good little tasty snack that you could a few of you could go out there, gather a load of berries, and make some fruit leather. As you can see, I've not added anything to it, and it is set. It is quite sweet. There's a bit of a tang to it. There's a slight bitterness to it. But this is, it's very high in vitamin C. And once it's dried as well, if you put this in an airtight container, this stuff lasts for years. I've heard about where somebody left some in the cupboard for 3 years, and they'd sort of forgot about it. They come back, they tried it, and it was just as nice then than it was when they'd made it. So but there's still, I don't know if you'll see that on camera, but yeah, there's still water coming out of this, and it seems to, I don't know, the more it sets, the denser it becomes. It seems to push the water out. I'm not quite sure how. I think it might be the sugars that are in there that are leaching the water out, same as what salt would do. I mean, you could add a little bit of salt to it, if you'd got some, to help draw more water out. You wouldn't want to add too much, so then it'd be too salty. But yeah, good energy source. So right, I'll finish the rest of that. So anyway, that's making Hawthorn fruit leather. It's quite easy to do. Get out of there now, give it a try. You might like it, you might not like it, but if you're hungry enough and you're out and you're stuck out in the wilderness, it doesn't take much, many items to make that. All I've done is gathered some berries, put them in my billy can holder, the little bag, and squeeze it through that and put it onto a, you could, if needs be, if you got an axe with you or a knife, you could just create a flat surface on a bit of wood, dry it off on that. In fact, it would probably dry better on there because the wood would absorb the water out of it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Like I say, get out there. You know, best way to learn these things is get out and practice. And yeah, so like I say, a quick thank you to all my subscribers. There's been a lot more people that have been subscribing to the channel, which is fantastic. And carry on, you know, like, share. You know, if you've got any questions, just put them in the comment box below. And check out the other videos that are on the page. There's quite a few more. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.